Hit the button. We're going to go live. Let me check the sound. Test, test, test. You got the live button on there, Shane?
I do it. I see it.
Okay. All right, guys, we're live. Welcome back to the podcast. Shane, we have a special guest today. Why don't you introduce him for us?
Yes, sir. I'm excited about this one. So our guest tonight is Adam Blake. Thank you, sir, for being a part of this tonight.
Absolutely. Good to be here.
Yeah, so Adam is a former golfer extraordinaire, chasing the dream of the PGA Tour. But he's a business owner. Our podcast every week is just about everyday business owners, doing great business, how they get there, the mindset. We go over mistakes, we go over the positives, the joys, the hardships of it. And so we've got Adam on tonight, and we're gonna blend the two worlds of golf and entrepreneurship together. So I'm happy to do that. So, Mr. Blake, give us your backstory, bud, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Golf's been in my life since high school. I played college golf at Kansas Central University, and then moved to Dallas, Texas. I was a PGA pro at Northwood Club and Dallas National Golf Club in my early 20s, and was a part of the PGA program, playing, working as a club pro, organizing tournaments for members, being in that scene on that side of the business. A lot of people think PGA pro and they just think, guys playing on tour or guys at their local club. So there's two types of pros, right? You have the PGA pro, who's the guy at the golf course when you go out and play on the weekends or weekdays. And then there's the tour pro, and those are the guys out traveling, playing for money. My dream was always to get to the PGA Tour. So my mentor told me, he said, look, you need to start dominating at every level you're at. Once you can dominate in your own backyard, move to the next yard, right? You just keep moving up. So my yard was North Texas. I was a PGA pro at Dallas National Golf Club. And so the section, we had North Texas section, and we would all play, all the pros would play North Texas section events. And I won a couple times there. And being at Dallas National as a pro gave me the opportunity to practice and hone my game and be around guys like Lee Trevino. He gave me some tips in the bunker that I told you, Shane. I said, I got to share this with you, right? Did I tell you this?
No, tell me.
Okay, so he showed me Lee Trevino. He's such a character. He's got so many stories, and he's happy to share them. And that he was telling me about some Open that he had won, and this is how he won it. This is how he hit this shot. And he said, come in here and get in this bunker with me. And I was just sitting there watching him. So I got in there, and let's see if I can give a lesson. I don't know if I can, I don't want to mess everybody's game up. But so Shane, if you understand a weak grip, right? So you open the face. This is terrible. Should I stand up? Maybe not. So you want to weaken your grip, which is, if this is your right hand, you're right-handed, you want to put it over the top. So what that does is when you come through and hit the ball, you can't help but have your club face open. So it's like such a simple trick. Don't try this with your driver because you'll slice it. But if you do this with in the sand, and you get your right hand over the top and your left hand underneath more, you'll keep the face open. And it's like the simplest bunker tip that I've ever had. And when Lee Trevino talks, you listen.
And it worked.
Oh, it worked. It was, my bunker play was incredible when I was playing.
Yeah. And I'll just interject, though, if we got some young listeners in there, Lee Trevino is one of the most famous golfers of all time. He didn't win as many majors as, Jack and, Tiger, but who has, right? But Trevino was one of the best. Go ahead, sir. I just thought I would interject that.
Exactly.
So tell us more about the background. So that led you to trying to get on the PGA Tour?
Sorry, can you repeat that for me?
Well, I was just going to say, keep going. So that led you to trying to make the PGA Tour?
Yeah, so I go from Dallas National to, feeling like I was good enough to go to the next level. And so the next level for me was trying to get to the PGA Tour. So you got steps, mini tours. And so I raised funds from various, I was a racehorse for about half a dozen guys, and they put up money for me to go out there for 1 year. And so I moved to Florida with my wife. Who knows what she was thinking, but she believed in me. And I quit my job, and 2 months after I quit my job and we were on our way out there, she was pregnant with our first kid. And so it was an adventure. I mean, it was so much fun. So we moved to West Palm Beach, Florida, and
place.
It's beautiful, right? So we lived there, spent the winters there for 2 years, played the Golden Bear Tour, and just enjoyed being in that scene and waking up every day and clocking in like it was my job, getting up early, working out, because at that time it was like the Tiger Woods phenomenon. So I played from 2005 to 2010, 2005, 2010. And it was just a grind, right? The mindset was, if you weren't practicing, somebody else was getting better than you, right? Which is the mindset of most sports. But even more so during that time with Tiger Woods coming on the scene, it was more like, golfers are actually athletes now. You got to be fit. You can't walk down the fairway like John Daly and drink a beer. So, it was a grind for sure. The mindset was, I missed, I think, my first six cuts in a row. It seemed like I'd shoot 72 to 74 every tournament. And I was like, I get to the back 9, and I remember my grandpa telling me, "Oh, well, just don't think about the cut." I'm like, that's easy to say. But when you're coming down the stretch and you're thinking about, okay, you just dropped 2,500 that week to travel and play, and you've got guys depending on you, it's a lot of pressure you can put on yourself. So the Golden Bear Tour is kind of where I started out, and then bounced around in the summers. I go work my way back west and play state opens. And so I did this for 5 years. And I had 1 year where I tore my ACL, which was tough because I was playing the best golf of my life. It was in the September, October. And I had set a course record in Colorado, which was a 61. I still have it. So that's one thing I'm excited about, because it's where I grew up, and it was 11 under par, and I had just set that course record, and then I went over to the other course in that area like a couple weeks later and shot 62. So I felt great. I was in the process of raising funds for 3 years because I reached a point where it was like, it's getting difficult to fund it myself based on my earnings. Because if you play well on the mini tours, you're not going to make over 100,000. Because you win a tournament. When I played, if you won 30 to 40 grand.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's good, but you might win once a year, and then it just drops off, right? So if you make the cut, you're probably losing money with that $2,000 check you made, right? So, yeah, it was. It's just a grind out there, but it was an adventure for sure.
So you gave it up in 2010, and you started your own business right around that same time.
So I was trying to raise funds, and I was on a hunting trip, tore my ACL, sat out a year. So I had to give all those funds back. I had enough to play for 3 years without any worries. Had to give those funds back. I didn't feel good. I didn't know how I was going to play once I came back from the surgery. I came back and played 1 year, I just wasn't the same. And that was that year in Canada. So even though it was my best year as far as tournament scoring, I think I averaged 71 something. It just wasn't good enough. And so, and that was tournament rounds. And so I made the decision to quit playing, and that was devastating, because you're just kind of like, you thought you were born, like that was all you had. I mean, that's all I did every day for 6 years, right? And so you're kind of stuck, like, what am I going to do? Like, no offense to insurance salesmen, but I was like, am I going to go sell insurance? I love it. I love insurance. That's like the best. I wish I'd have done that early in my life. But I just didn't have a clue what I was going to do. And so I kind of bounced around for a year and a half trying to figure it out. And I moved to Dallas, Texas, because I felt like I loved the culture there and the people there, the confidence of entrepreneurship. And so it kind of drew me back to Dallas. And I started a company called VIP Golf Network. So VIP Golf Network was something that was birthed in me when I was a golf pro at Dallas National. I'd have guys call the pro shop and say, hey, Adam, I'm in LA. I'd like to play LA Country Club or Riviera. And I'd ask our pro, and they'd say, sorry, you got to know a member. We can't get them on there. And then, so I have to call them back and say, I know you're a member of Dallas National, but does you no good when you go anywhere else. So that was in the back of my mind when I was playing on tour, and I'd meet Mr. Jones, who's a member at the Floridian, or Mr. Smith at Seminole Club. And so I was creating these relationships with people in this network of guys that belong to high-end private clubs and loved golf and loved to travel. And so I put together this network of guys that were like-minded and wanted to travel and play the best private clubs. And so I started that company, and then I was looking for a unique gift to give these guys. Most of these guys it's hard to find something that for these guys that they would appreciate. So I created this leather head cover. There was only one company out there at the time that made a leather head cover. And I looked at it and I thought, I could design something that fits a golf club better than this, that I think people would enjoy. And so, or that these guys would like. So I made these gifts, showed them to the guys, gave them to the guys, and then everybody, just the feedback I got, the trajectory was like going this way with just a hobby, something I thought was a cool gift that I designed with a design team. And so I shelved VIP Golf Network and then jumped into what became and has been my life for 10 years, which is called Cru Golf, CRU Golf.
Yeah. And that what's so interesting, man, is golf gave you so many great connections. I mean, you're talking about some wealthy, elite guys that you met through golf. Dallas National, that's one of the top probably country clubs around, and all those guys and people you raise money from. And so it's like a breeding ground for wealthy individuals. All those guys love golf.
Yeah.
And,
golf. Yep.
And they always look up to the guys that are the best. I tell my son this all the time. I'm like, that's why you want to play golf, dude. Like it's one of the best things for business owners to do. I tell you, I was a lender for 15 years, and I love getting out on the golf course with these guys. And you're always getting out with the best guys, the wealthiest individuals and whatnot, because that's who you're trying to build as your own clientele. And when you go visit them at their office, they're always on their computer, and they got their cell phone with them, and the phone's ringing, and the admin's coming in, and everybody's got his attention, and he's completely distracted. Yeah. And you can't get him for more than 10 minutes. Yeah. So that's a bad place to go have a meeting, is at his office. But then you go to the next step and you take them out to lunch, right? And even at lunch, you've only got them for about maybe an hour and a half, but they still have their cell phone, right? And they're still picking that up. They're still answering that. You got the waiters interrupting you, whatnot. But on the golf course, that's where you get them captive for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And that's where you build this bond with them, and you start, you get out of the superficial stuff, then you start talking about the wife, the kids, the family, and that's when you just have fun with them. And it's just such a cool thing, man. And everybody bonds at golf. But then all the big dogs want to play with the best players. They want to play with the Adam Blakes. They didn't want to play with me. They want to play with guys like you. And that's what I'm telling my son. That's why you want to be a great golfer, because it is such a great into business. It's just a natural step into those shoes.
Yeah. And Shane, why is that? Like, I had this conversation with someone last week about this. Like, why does everyone want to play with great players? You know, even if you're not on the PGA Tour, you know, but you can shoot around par. They want to be around you, and I don't know why you have instant respect from those people that, you know, they might be here and you're here, or they might be here and you're here. From a financial perspective, it just brings everybody together, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. The only thing I could put my finger on was maybe they appreciate, like, they know the work that you had to put in to get there. I don't know.
That's totally it, because they know they can't do it. It is something they can't do. They want to do it, so they admire the people that can do it because they know they can't. And it's such a cool thing. But so right now my son is getting into the game, and I hit you up about where do I get him started. He's 14, and we actually played our first round together a couple days back.
Okay.
And, you know, several years ago, he's like, I didn't want anything to do with golf. And then when we played the round, when it was over, he's like, man, why didn't we get started years ago? And I was like, buddy, it's because you told me you didn't want to do this years ago.
You want to play football and baseball, the cool
everything but, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you know, what I want to talk about is, you know, the mindset of golfers. Golfers have this amazing mindset. And to me, it really correlates with business, because business, you're on an island almost as a business owner. And sometimes it's very lonely out there. But as a golfer, it's that same way. You know, every other sport is almost a team sport, you know, outside of maybe tennis.
Yeah.
But you're out there all by yourself. And that course controls you.
Yeah.
You rise and fall with it. You can't get mad at anybody out on the golf course. It's you.
Yeah. Yep.
And it can play with your head. And confidence is so fragile out on the golf course. Absolutely. You can have it and it can be fleeting. But you've got to, in your mind, you've got to get rid of the bad shots, and you got to lock in on what you're doing next. And business is so similar, man. You go through these seasons where you absolutely have no confidence too. And it's like, how do you get your confidence back? How do you get that mojo back? So talk a little bit about the mindset and that daily grind to be successful from the course and how that translates to business.
Yeah. I think I had no clue what golf at a tournament level was preparing me for. And even not a tournament level, even a guy just going out there and who gets to play once a week. You're uncomfortable, right? So I remember tournament level or tournament golf, or even if you're going out with friends, right? It might make you uncomfortable. If you're playing with your peers or your boss, it makes you uncomfortable. And I think that's good, because it helps you kind of do a self-awareness analysis, right? Of how am I handling this situation, so that you can go back and look, okay, I remember how I handled this last time. Now this is how I'm going to handle that next time it comes up, right? So perseverance, I think the one thing that tournament golf taught me was perseverance, right? And understand. It gave me perspective. Perseverance gave me perspective that nothing lasts forever. And what I mean by that is, as a professional athlete, you go through slumps. You know, there's highs and there's lows. And my brother's an amazing instructor in Arizona. So if you ever go to Arizona, you got to look up Dan Campbell Golf Academy. He told me something the other day, and it was, you know, you keep your expectations high, but you keep your emotions level, right? And so I think that's key, because I remember that was my mindset when I played, right? It was, I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. You remember David Duval?
Yep.
Okay, he was like the epitome of that, right? You didn't know if he was shooting 80 or 65, right? He had the glasses on. He was stoic. And it doesn't work for everybody. There's guys like John Rahm, but they're few and far between the guys that can get so fired up and emotional and just really pissed off and do well. I really feel like the majority of us out there, you're trying to keep your emotions level. Like, look at Ricky Fowler. He's the same way. You don't know if Ricky's shooting 75 and missing the cut or shooting 65.
And you know Ricky, right?
Yeah, Ricky's been one of our guys since 2000. I think his rookie year. We met him and started making head covers for him. It was just an amazing experience to, get him on the Cru team. And
what a connection, dude. That is a fantastic connection.
He's been awesome.
But I love that line. Keep your expectations high. Keep your emotions level. I love that, man. That is such a good word for a business owner today. Because I can tell you, I'm doing fractional CFO work, and I've got a few business owners that are a roller coaster.
Right.
And dude, you never know what you're going to get. Some days they're coming in, they're pissed off, and other days they're elated. It's almost like a bipolar type situation, and it's not healthy. I can tell you straight up, because the employees are riding that roller coaster with them.
Yeah.
And when he's on a high, it's high fives. Everybody's loving it.
Yeah.
Dude, when it's on the opposite end, it's some butt chewing time, man. And you're trying to run as fast as you can in the other direction. I mean, you don't want no part of that.
No, you want to create a consistent culture, right? And you can't create consistent culture doing this.
Yeah, that's a good word.
So I think, the perseverance, the mindset that I had to have that most guys have to have out there is you block the bad. You hit a bad shot, and I've seen a lot of players hit a bad shot, right? They hit a slice and they're like, oh, here I go again. Or they'll hook one and they'll just instantly, their mind goes to like, well, I guess I'm going to hook it today. Unless I hit the same shot 4 times in a row, like a bad shot, I tell myself it's a fluke. So I used to do a lot of self-talk, whether I was out practicing or, hitting practice shots or out on the course. I really feel like the best golfers lie to themselves, right? You might be headed down the wrong path with your swing or something going on, but you don't let your mind go that way, right?
That's another good word right there.
You tell yourself you're fine.
Do you find yourself doing that in business? Because I find myself doing that without even knowing I'm doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
those days I don't feel like I have it. I'm like, man, you got this. You're going to have a great day, man. And I know there's something inside of me that goes, man, it's going to be a terrible day. But you don't show it. You don't present that to anybody. And
yeah, you're just moving forward, right? I think optimism is the one of the best traits a business owner can have, at really any level. I mean, you got to be realistic about where you're at. If the ship is sinking, you have to adapt and be flexible and lead, but you got to be optimistic even in the midst of that transition, right? So
good stuff. All right, tell us about your business, Cru Golf. You've had this for 10 years now?
Yeah, 10 years.
Tell us the good and bad.
Yeah, so we started off just, hey, we want to be everywhere. We want to make everything for everybody. And we grew exceptionally quick because there was no competition. And we could have grown quicker had I realized what was happening. We went to the PGA show, I believe it was in 2004, 2005. And the PGA show is held in Orlando. You go there to get your product in front of everybody. There's really only one place in the golf business that you go, or trade show, to do that, and that's Orlando in January. And I remember going there, and it's before all I had was a few sales reps and one assistant. And we go there, and I didn't know it at the time, but we knocked it out of the park. We come back with a stack of warm leads, and we went through them and said, okay, these are people just wanting to sell us something, and then these are legitimate buyers at the clubs and the courses we want to be at. And at that time, we didn't have the software set up to follow up with everybody. I didn't have the staff to follow up with everyone. And looking back at that was my fault, right? Just not knowing the opportunity that was in front of us. I should have hired people. That was the time to scale, right? So over the next 3 years, it still was a great year. We were still growing. But I learned a lot about our business then, because we wanted to be everywhere. And in doing so, we hurt our turn times. So from a production standpoint, we had a ceiling of our capabilities, right? And the wholesale business is so custom and unique that you can reach that ceiling very quickly. And often you can reach it with the wrong type of customers. And that's really kind of where we got to in 2017. And we were just growing the wrong direction. And I read a book. You ever heard of the Pumpkin Plan?
Nope.
Okay, the Pumpkin Plan is I probably shouldn't be telling people this. If any of my customers are listening, just go away with that. So the Pumpkin Plan is all about growing your business the right way. So he takes an analogy of like a farmer, and he's trying to grow this. What does your prize pumpkin look like? So what's your business look like? And it helps you kind of analyze outside your business what you need to prune. And there's customers that consume all your time and they don't bring you any profit. And so and all of us, we have those, and we might love them. We love the relationships, but at the end of the day, it's not a sustainable business. And so going through that book, some other things, some other hardships within the business, losing some of my best people, we had to downsize. And, bigger isn't always better, at least in my experience. And so we kind of slimmed back and started choosing who we wanted to, continue doing business with and the right type of business. And we became a lot more healthier over the next 2 years. And then COVID hit.
Damn COVID.
Yeah.
Josh, COVID, I mean, we've all been hurt by COVID. I lost, several clients to COVID, and, you're in a business that COVID was heavily affected, and Josh was too. And so tell us how you've dealt with that.
Yeah. So about 85% of our business revenue is through tournaments and events.
Oh,
so we kind of moved away from, the 12-piece order, the 30-piece order with 12 different colors and 30 different colors, and being everywhere to, trying to fulfill custom event orders. And so that was kind of our trajectory we were headed on, and the business was getting healthier. And then just like let's see here, I got a light here somewhere, but just like a light switch, just boom. I mean, no slowdown, no nothing, just bam, like all tournament business gone, right? No events are happening. Everybody knows this. So this has happened since March. We're now, 4 months down the road. And so, even the PPE, like, what am I going to take that and then have people come in and make things that we don't really need to make? Because it's just not for the golf industry. We make our money March through November, right? And then it slows down November through March. And so I know I'm heading into a down season already. So
are they booking events getting booked again at all?
We have one coming up at the end of September, but literally most of our events are just like either they'll reschedule them. We had one in California, a huge event. They were supposed to be in May and they postponed to September, and now they're holding that again. So I look at this and I'm like, for my business, we're going to be like this until April next year. Best case scenario, I think. We'll get some things here and there, but it's not enough to continue, our overhead and where we were headed. And I mean, I could start making masks, but I just don't have a heart for it. I mean, I think enough people are making masks right now and making a lot of money on it. They don't need me to get in there. So Yeah, so that's we've had to pivot, and in this transition, we've over the last year and a half, we've been developing some other products overseas. And initially, we were just going to go, okay, we're gonna make our golf bags, our duffel bags, all these new items that I've always wanted to make, but we could never make here in the U.S. Just cost effective to compete with the market. It just wasn't happening, and so we were developing these products, and I was actually overseas in March when they started shutting down, or they were scared everything was when UK shut down. I was overseas and trying to get back. I was developing new products, and so just this week I'm finally back again, and we are going to take all of our business and outsource it overseas and open a new factory. But with that comes so many exciting opportunities, because when you have your own factory overseas, you're able to have such a footprint on that community, in those people's lives, that you can't have here in the U.S. There's some cool things we're doing for the community as far as outreaches and.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it's exciting to me. And I had somebody say, well, why don't you do that in Texas? Why don't you do that in Colorado? I'm like, I can't build a park in Texas. Like, I can't offer after school.
Just owning
you know what I mean? So I'm like, I know that's where I live, and I'm from, this other area in Colorado, but I just, and I love where I'm from, but I can't make I can barely take care of my own employees here in the U.S., let alone have an impact on other people in the community. So that's exciting to me, to be able to finally give. And I think we're all kind of at the point where you want to give back in whatever capacity you can. And so for us, we're using our leather scraps, because I've got tons of it here in the U.S. And hang on, I'm gonna plug this. And we're going to turn those into leather sandals, leather moccasins, and really, if they don't need it, the women and children, at least we can give it to them, and we can create entrepreneurs where they can go to the markets and they can make a profit for themselves and get what they need. So it's exciting.
That's so cool, man.
I've wanted to do something like this for so long. So
that's that little side benefit to the business that you already had, man. That's wonderful. Like Josh's business, he's turning, he sells photo booths.
Okay.
And he is turning people into entrepreneurs, which, I love. And, and what we're doing on this podcast, we just want to give back to business owners. We want to inspire them, encourage them, help them grow their, their business acumen, and just show them they're not on an island, man. Give them this resource, where it's just everyday guy. We're not interviewing Warren Buffett's, right?
Right.
We're not interviewing Elon Musk. We're interviewing everyday guys out there doing the hustle, but doing it well, and bringing that mindset, bringing that that clarity, that trying to increase the confidence, all that stuff. So all of this has a similar theme, which I love, and it's giving back. What can we do to give back? And so I love that.
Yeah, it's new territory for us as far as being very intentional about it, but it's exciting for us. So
very intentional. JP, you got anything, bro?
When you say overseas, like which countries are you going to?
So South America and Mexico is where we're developing stuff.
Was there something in particular about those countries versus like going to Asia that you prefer?
The convenience of, I like to be, a part of it, and it's a little closer to us to be able to fulfill orders. So I think the locations, and then just the quality of the leather. There's a lot of leather tanneries in these areas, and the craftsmanship. These people have been working with leather for, generation after generation, and the things that they can create. I can sketch something and they can hand cut it and make it, and I'm just blown away. Like, what have I been doing the last 10 years?
Now, prior to that, and look, I'm all about outsourcing and, leveraging So don't feel bad about it, because we do make a difference in all over the world, whichever country we go to. I have staff in the Philippines, in Pakistan, in India, and we do a lot of outsourcing. It's just how we're able to, what we have to do. We have to do what we have to do, and we're changing those people's lives because they don't have as much opportunity as we do here. If we want to go and start something, they just don't have access to it. And so, I appreciate that, and can appreciate that you're doing that. Yeah, I forgot my question now over here.
We've tried to grow in the U.S. My father, my mom, they're like, well, why can't you make it here? Like, you want to make it in the U.S., I thought. And I do, but I also want to be a sustainable business.
Right, exactly.
And for what, the area that we're in, if you look at my competitors, there's a reason why they're making bags in Colombia, and they're getting leather from, this area. And we've just been behind in certain areas, and not just behind, but we want to provide our customers with products that they want. And so I just have.
Yeah, I was actually, I remembered it now. So prior to this, you were making it here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then you decided to go overseas.
Yeah. And I've done all kinds of things here in the U.S., right? I outsourced everything, and then I outsourced portions of it, and then we controlled it all, and we just couldn't get the numbers right. And I think this is the best position for us to be able to, grow and provide our customers with the products they want, and then the benefit is just making a difference somewhere else. So you're changing people's lives. Like the people I'm spending time with here, they're ecstatic that we're giving them work, and that they make more than anybody on their street or in their neighborhood, right? And so it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, it really is. And questions keep slipping away. I need to.
And that's where you are right now. That you're out of the country, but you're down there at your factory.
Yeah. I've been down here for 2 weeks. I'll be down here for 1 more week. And, you talk about being uncomfortable. It's been a while, I think, since I've been this uncomfortable. I mean, I was here the first week I was here, I was like, over the weekend, I was like, am I nuts? Like, what am I trying to accomplish here? Even though I've been coming here for 1.5 years or longer. I think the first time I was here was 5 years ago, but it's definitely a challenge. I mean, there's so many. Like yesterday, we ran out of running water, and it was because our well had a leak in it. We had just filled it up, and so it's just interesting. They deal with so many other challenges, but and it's not all just fixed with money. Like, you start throwing money in countries where they don't have money, then you better be ready to just keep throwing that money, because they'll think it's just a faucet, right? So we don't do that.
So you go down to Mexico, you interview several factories, and then you select one. What's your process?
In the past, I came down here and I visit leather tanneries, because this is like one of the meccas of leather tanneries. There's a ton of leather tanneries here. They've got just the skilled workers here. So I was always attracted to this area, but we never fully made the jump. We would source some leather from Mexico. But then I started looking at different factories and what they could provide us, and looking at them actually doing it for us. And honestly, most of the factories down here, their pricing is 10% less than what it is in the U.S. to make it. And so once I factored customs and not having control of anything, and it was actually like the same price. And so that's when we started looking at doing our own thing. And so that's why I'm here now, is starting our own factory and moving it forward. So that to me is more exciting than just meeting with the factory down here and, okay, here you go. So it's much more hands-on, but it's exciting. It keeps the entrepreneur in me kind of alive,
Yeah, I do. We go to visit our factories. Now we can't, but
Right.
yeah, we're overdue. Like just meeting with the factory owners and just getting to see the products made. From there's something about like just drawing something on a paper and then like next thing you know they build it. And it's like
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's just, it's fun to create for the creator, right?
Well, Mr. Blake, I appreciate the time you've given us. You have any parting shots you want to just throw out there to any investor or anybody listening?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully we've imparted something to somebody.
I like it. JP, you got anything?
That's it. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time, and we'll keep following you and see see a journey where it goes. And Shane's always like, golf. Like I don't know anything about golf, but I can see especially when you said the ups and downs, because like I can imagine myself like taking a bad swing, at a ball, and then that's like having a bad month in business. Like the rest of the months are going to be great, but you can't start speaking to yourself negatively just because you had one bad month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we appreciate your time for coming on. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Cru Golf, crugolf.com. That's the right website, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks again, Adam.
All right. Appreciate it.
See you, everybody.